Okay, welcome to my office. This is because Quaid in 306 said he couldn't watch the Kaltura video, so I'm making this on YouTube. So I need somebody to email me and tell me if they were able to see this video. Okay, let's start. Q&A starting now. We're a week away from informative speeches, and these are questions that I hope were helpful. I'm confused about separating my main point. How can I do it? How can I find good quotes about my topic? Okay, two different questions. One, here's the goal. We want novelty and coherence. We want to learn something we didn't already know. We want it to be coherent, so a thread. So if I want to talk about basketball, I'm going to narrow that down to maybe 3 players from the Houston Rockets. You're really looking for three ways to get healthier, which is probably broad, but like 3 antioxidant rich foods, or 3 specific studying techniques to help us get smarter, or 3 ways to trick your brain into not being nervous. So when you're separating those main points, ask, excuse me, is it easy for me to transition from one to the next? Is there a clear thread that's memorable? How do I find good quotes about my topic? Google. Also, I have a favorite website called thinkexist.com, but it's filled with a lot of inspirational quotes. Okay, hopefully I don't choke. Where can I find my citations? All right, that's a good question. Sam Jack's Library. I posted a video last week on how to do that, so go check that out, and I will do a 2-minute crash tutorial on how to find that, and also how to get perfect citations on your reference page. So come tomorrow, we'll go over that. But Sam Jack's Library, go to the Sam Jack main page, scroll to the very bottom, click on library, and then you can do a super search. How do I compose an audience motivation on Black history with a non-African American class? Well, I understand the hesitation there. Let me just say, one of my favorite things in the world about college is that we learn about things we didn't know about, that we get new perspectives, and that's so exciting. So one of the things you can do is maybe if you ask them a question on their survey about learning new things, or go into research online and just find out how people understanding other people is helpful for their well-being, for peace, and maybe even just saying something like, listen, we live in a world where people genuinely want to get to know other people, but sometimes they don't have an opportunity to hear other people's perspectives. So use language like, this isn't necessarily an African American predominant class, but if you've heard the term preaching to the choir, that would be what it was like if you were Black in an African American class. So I think that you could say something like, this is Black History Month, and a lot of you may not actually know, not that I want to make assumptions, so you make sure that your posture isn't arrogant or divisive, but just say, I thought it would be really fun for me to share from my perspective on some important pieces of Black history, so that when you get into conversations that may feel awkward, this would be helpful information. Okay, I hope that helps. How do I connect my topic? On Black something toned makeup, hair, clothes, businesses to me class. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly that's saying, but if it's saying Black toned or oriented, here's the deal. Most of us, and I would guess half of the class, has a friend who's African American, and so finding out that information, you would be able to better connect with a friend. So you could say, hey, this information may help you connect with a friend. How do I get an attention grabber about the Houston Texans? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you should dig a little bit and find information on something that they didn't already know, like maybe their overall win-loss record, maybe a coach, maybe a year that they were suspended, or some like fascinating information. Maybe you could find a quote about how much money the Houston Texans bring into the city, or if they donate something, how they impact the community. That might be helpful. Okay, how would I find information on 90s music? Well, first you start with Google, and then go into Sand Jack's library and scroll down and pull up the pop culture tab and type in. So I don't know if you're looking for musicians or themes of songs, but you can start with Google if you want to know like the most popular songs or the most popular singers or bands, right? 90s was the decade of the boy bands, or just bands in general, and then take those names and come back into Sand Jack's library. I'm having trouble with my main point. Okay. Really think about, okay, is my topic narrow enough, and can I find 3 specific things? We are avoiding an encyclopedia or Wikipedia entry. We want to have a way that you can teach us something we didn't already know but is coherent. So we're looking for 3 reasons, 3 athletes, 3 tips, 3 strategies, 3 benefits, 3 causes. See where I'm going with that. Okay, I have trouble with making my main points narrow. Well, here's the deal. If you're doing 1990s, like 3 boy bands from the 90s, let's go with that. You can't tell us everything there is to know about that boy band. So you just hone in on a couple things, like one, their family life behind the scenes maybe, or hone in on like their greatest hits, or maybe just tell us a little bit about their story. What was their overcoming sort of breakthrough moment? Did they have a breakout song? So for each main point, you could talk about a breakout song, but don't feel pressure to tell us everything there is to know about that. It's too hard. I have trouble starting my introduction. Should I add more information to my 3 main points? Okay, starting my introduction. Here's what you need to do. Look at a friend and tell them your topic, and then say what would resonate with you, what would connect with you. So you might just say, just ask a question. That's, if you need a punt, you could say, have you ever wondered about this? Or have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever wanted to learn about this? Okay, how do I do an attention getter if my topic is about an actor? That would be, you might consider asking a rhetorical question like, did you know that George Clooney donates $40 million to charity every year? I don't know that that's true, but what you might find some interesting information about an actor that we don't already know. Like, did you know they grew up in Canada? Or did you know their first big break was this movie? Or did you know blank? So I would maybe go with the rhetorical question. How do I find more credible sources I can cite in my speech? The academics, Google Academic or the Sand Jack Library website. I know it's rough, but if you really dig, you can do that. And you want to pull a nugget. So if you are talking about an actor, you could cite a source in your introduction that really isn't specific about the actor, but just about the film industry in general. Like maybe 40% of actors in Hollywood started out in the Midwest, or just a general, maybe you could just say every year the box office sees $75 billion come in, or the average movie costs blank. You can start really general and then sort of funnel it down. This is a great question. Do I still have a good topic if I haven't experienced it personally? Yes. I could do a speech on Paris. I've never been to Paris. You could talk about a form of cancer you've never had. It is a different perspective, but you can research it and know it and feel confident in it. How should I find my other sources? Well, friend, you can Google them, and then look for newspaper articles. You want sources that have accountability. Somebody's looking at them, somebody's checking their integrity. Accountability is key. How to research or a website to look up. Is this I want to say that's assignment. Okay. On paper or PowerPoint, you will use note cards. No PowerPoint. Okay, that's about my main point. Still feeling too broad. Maybe if they feel too broad, you need to look at one of those main points and expand it into 3. So maybe you wanted to talk about the mental, the physical, and the social benefits of exercise. And really, those are three completely different speeches. They could stand alone. So now you're going to dive in and go, you know what? I'm just going to talk about the three mental benefits of exercise. Do we have a visual aid? Do we have to dress up? You do not need a visual aid because I want the visual aid to be you for your first speech. You will for the next one. So great question. No PowerPoint needed. And actually, you cannot use a PowerPoint. Do we dress up? You need to not dress like you're going to the club and not dress like you're going to bed and not dress like you just woke up or headed to work out. You need to dress for success. So put on something clean, maybe business casual, and really keep it simple. We want to feel like you put some effort into this. Okay, the reference page have to be in MLA format, like the cited page, or is it just links? Yes, MLA format. Unless you use APA, you can use APA, which is the American Psychology Association. Can we go over the allotted time for just a few seconds without being docked? Point to our final grade. Well, that is an awesome question, and someone's going to be thankful you asked. I will only take off 1 point for every 30 seconds you go over, because that means you had more content. So you can actually go over a minute and only be deducted a few points. Can I change my topic? Yes, you can. It's not too late. You're just working harder, not smarter, and that's not the goal. Do we have to make the PowerPoint for our speech? No. Can we use interviews of real firefighters? 100% yes. Now, does it count as academic source? No, but it will make your speech awesome. We call that pathos. It's amazing, and that's expert testimony, but also personal experience. So definitely, yes, it will help support your speech. PowerPoint? No. Do we have to make PowerPoint? Nope. In fact, if you wanted to, you can't. How do you follow your outline while speaking? Note cards, note cards, note cards. What if you get stuck? Well, one, organize your note cards well. Number your note cards. If you get stuck, here's what my first advice to you. Breathe. And then come up with a transition statement. So now that I've talked about this, I'm moving on to this. If you know your three main points, the crux of your thesis statement really well, you are not going to have trouble. You're going to be able to say, okay, now that I've talked about this, I'm moving on to this. So if you get lost in one of those main points, just wrap it up and move on to the next point. We won't know that you forgot. You'll know, but we won't know. Okay, I might know because you left it out on your outline. How do I transition from the body, the intro to the body to the conclusion? Okay, so the end of your introduction is your thesis statement. Now I'm going to talk about this, then I'm going to talk about this, finally I'm going to talk about this. Then the beginning of your body, you're going to say, okay, let's jump in. My first main point's about this. You're going to talk about it. Between each main point, you'll say, now that I've talked about whoever, whatever, I want to move on to this. And then you can go from second to third. Now that I've talked about that, I'm going to move on to this. When you transition from the body to the conclusion, you're really just going to give this one strong signpost. In conclusion, or maybe as I wrap this up. Okay, that is a ton of questions, but I hope I answered it. I'm going to answer this last one. How do I make my words how do I not make my words sound unprofessional? Or how do I not procrastinate? Okay, well, with your words sounding unprofessional, here's the deal. The thing I love about speeches versus writing an English essay is that simple is better. We only remember I have a dream from Martin Luther King's speech. I have a dream are words my kindergartner can understand. A first grader. We remember yes we can from President Obama's speech. People remember simple phrases. So we don't need fancy words, but what you can do is when you start to feel like you want to say like, stuff like that, you want to take a deep breath, slow your tone down. It's hard to say unprofessional words or throw a bunch of vocal fillers if you're talking slowly. So slow your roll, slow your rate down a little bit. That will help a ton. How do I not procrastinate? Okay, here's the truth. We all procrastinate a little bit. So do just a little bit every day. look at that outline that you have and go, okay, do I have an attention getter? What if today I just looked for a great quote or a great statistic, and then check that off your list? Then maybe ask yourself, like, I need to come up with 1 or 2 sentences that would hook my audience. Maybe I need to do that. Then I would like really hone in on what are my main points. And then the best thing to do to not procrastinate is wherever you're stuck, email me. I had two students in my office today. We clarified their thesis statements. We went over their audience analysis survey results. We talked about the outline. I helped them find a few sources. So if you're at a sticking point, I'm here to help. That's what I'm here for. So come see me in my office in building 9, room 251. Sometimes I have candy. Today I didn't, but or you can just email me. Shoot me an email. Don't hesitate. You have not because you ask not, and I am here to answer your questions. Okay, see you on class.